But when it was over, they both looked at each other, and the look of accomplishment on Travis's little face, and the look of pride, and just the biggest smile you've ever seen on Jason's face, was so precious to me that 23 years later it is still a memory. Dads have a way of building our confidence and giving us the strength to do hard things. I thought about Rob's sister, who stood up years ago right over there, and asked for prayer for Robbie, who was elementary age, and he was having some serious health conditions. And they were having to take him to a children's hospital in another state to try to find some answers. Never forget the tremble in his voice or the resolve on his face. You could tell that Rob was shaken, and he was worried about the unknown, but he was determined to lean on his faith and trust God with his boy. What a faith builder for those around him, but especially for his sons. Dads have an incredible influence on their children. I thought about Mr. Wade Bullock and his commitment to supporting missions. For years, he's gone on mission trips, and he's brought missionaries into our church to share what they're doing. He knows the importance of spreading the gospel, and he has lived that example for his family. The last couple of years, it's been so sweet to see his daughter Cole step up and coordinate Vacation Bible School. And to me, that is such a beautiful picture of training up a child in the way they should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. Several years ago, on Father's Day, the girls were making sure to take extra special care of their daddy, and Devin was being catered to all day. All morning long, it was daddy this and daddy that, and daddy had to go first. And so finally in the afternoon, it was time for some dessert, and they made sure that daddy got the first helping. And 4-year-old little Tucker stood up and passed his plate and said that he would go next because it was Father's Day. The girls, Mabry, I'm sure, had something to say about that, and they argued with him that he didn't have kids, and he did not get to go first. And so Tucker said, well, I don't have kids now, but I might someday. I thought back on that, and I was thinking about how some men have a father-like influence on others, even without having children of their own, and how they too deserve to be honored on Father's Day. I've heard of those people, and I know you have too, referred to as spiritual fathers. I was thinking about the spiritual fathers in our church, and my mind immediately went to Mr. Joe Smith and the football breakfast that he's been leading for many, many years. There's no way to measure the influence or to count the spiritual seeds that have been planted as Mr. Joe and his team have served at that breakfast and presented the gospel to those young men over the years. Men who pour into and serve others are such a gift. I think about Pastor Dave and the way he leads our church. I think about Chris Howard and the way he pours into his Sunday school class. I know that we have many of those men in our congregation. I thought about Mr. Bill Robinson, Mr. Ted Glass, and Mr. John Pastora, and Randy Jammy, and I know there's many others I can't think of right now, but I was thinking of the men who spent years maintaining the church building and the grounds and doing all the Mr. Fix-It Dad type things here. I thought about the family legacies that we have represented in our church and the men who lead those families. The Breedens, the Bullocks, the Fugits are just a few that came to my mind when I thought there's some of them have 3, even 4 generations who worship together in our congregation. There's no greater gift we can give our families than the lasting legacy of faith. Of all the ways that fathers influence and impact our lives, the single most important is to point us to Jesus. A few months ago, I read something interesting about Noah and the flood, and I thought it was a fitting point to close today. We know from the Bible that there were 8 people on the ark who were saved from the flood. It was Noah and his wife, his 3 sons, and his 3 daughters-in-law. The interesting point that the author of the article I read made was that later in the Bible, in 2 Peter, Noah is referred to as the 8th person. And there's some scholars that believe that simply means Noah instead of Noah. There's other scholars who believe that Noah being referred to as the 8th person refers to his position when he got on the boat, which would make him the last person on. So if that's correct, and we can assume that it is, if he's the last person on the boat, it would mean that Noah made sure his wife and his sons and his daughters-in-law went in before him. He made absolutely sure that everyone in his family was saved. We can just imagine him counting his family one by one, not willing to leave a single one behind in a land that was headed for destruction. He led his family, and he took on the personal responsibility of making sure that they were saved. In that same way, fathers are called to lead those entrusted to them are so important, dads. I hope that all of you here this morning know that. Today, we